Hi, Skaz. Technology is not our friend. Technology is not my friend. No, I do not want your stupid Windows 11 update as I'm trying to go live on the Green Teamers podcast with Skaz. No, I do not want to back up my files on the iCloud. I would just assume lose them or use them on a digital hard drive. Good morning.
Good morning, Jay Steele.
What a pig orgy that was. And it just was not necessary. I'm all set, ready to go. I'm plugged in. Computer shuts down and says, oh, we would like to update you with Windows 11. No, I'm good. Thanks. I don't want your stupid Windows 11. I like Windows 10 perfectly fine. But that's neither here nor there. Good morning. Good Sunday morning to everybody as we try to beat Alex Barth in the YouTube ratings. I think Barth gets us this time of season, but who knows? Biggest question I get asked, Skaz, as we lead off the Green Teamers podcast is, when are the Celtics playoff games going to begin? I think it's going to be Saturday, April 19th. I think the 2-7 seed matchup was on Saturday last year. I think the Celtics opened up on Sunday. So if you're celebrating Easter or you're celebrating WrestleMania like I am, I would expect the 2-7 matchup, the Celtics versus whoever the 7 matchup, to be on Saturday, not Sunday. Of course, I'll probably be wrong on that, but that's what history would tell us. What do you think, Skaz?
Yeah, I'm with you, and I think that's one of the new wrinkles of the in the play-in series is that the Celtics are going to have, if they sit their guys for the end of the regular season, these guys could have 10, 11 days off. Some of these guys, if that's what they want to do. Oh, and we lost Jay Steele. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good place to start. Is the Celtics break? They're going to have a maybe 10-ish day break before the playoffs. Oh, Jay Stu's coming and going. There he is. He's coming and going. He's in and out like a fast food restaurant. But yeah, technology wins. But I think you're looking at a 10-day break for a lot of these guys before the playoffs start.
Green Teamers assemble Joe Murray. Joe Murray might have to jump in at some point because this is a pig orgy. So per Sean Grandy, I don't know if you said this when I was jumping in and out, but the matchup is either Orlando or Atlanta, we think. That's the percentage.
Yeah, and from I was, obviously we're in at night when Sean's calling the games. He seems to heavily think that it's going to be Orlando. Him and Max are already planning their lunch dates in Orlando together. So I don't
like that. I don't like that, Skaz. And the Celtics should win that game, but that series, but that has the potential to be a 7-game scare.
I think I would have felt more this way last year, but this Orlando team, it's weird because you're right. Like this is a team that has given the Celtics fits, but this Orlando team this year has been so up and down, so injured. I just wonder about them, in a playoffs. I mean, they have Banchero, they have guys that can get out and win a game or two, but I still think the Celtics should take care of business in 5 against Orlando.
I hope so. I just physicality, size, all that stuff. Like, I worry about Orlando. I didn't realize this until I looked into it. So Orlando, they've split so far, the 2 games. Atlanta, which is the other possibility, 3 games, they've lost 2 of them. And against Orlando, they've shot 36% from 3. Atlanta, 34% from 3. And Chicago's the kind of their team, and they've beaten Chicago. They're 3-1 against Chicago, 35%. Miami beat them the other night, but that was weird. It was off a road trip. They came back. They didn't come back. Like, I don't worry about Miami. I worry about Orlando. I just worry about their size.
Yeah.
And again, the Celtics should win, but like, when you're the Celtics and it's like, okay, what's the Eastern Conference Finals matchup? That's how you're thinking. Are you facing the Cavs? Are you facing somebody else? I just want these series to be 4 games, and then where are we at? Is it the Cavs? Is it somebody else? That's what I want. Like, I don't want Orlando. I want Chicago. I want the easiest path possible.
I mean, Chicago, Eastern Conference Player of the Month last month, Kobe White beat out Jayson Tatum. Chicago's on a little bit of a roll right now. But, yeah, I'm with you. Chicago stinks.
I don't want Detroit. I don't want to see Detroit. Detroit worries me. They have size.
They're feisty. They're a team that's hungry. Yeah, they're a team that's going to, try and punch you in the mouth too. And the Celtics haven't always, dealt with that, greatly.
The 3-point record, Skaz. Do you care?
No, I mean, not really. It's going to get broken again next year, probably. So I mean, good for them. Good for Derek White, I guess, for setting the Celtics record. And Jayson Tatum's right behind him. And I'm sure Peyton Pritchard, sixth man of the year, all that. So I would say if I had to rank what I care about in terms of Jayson Tatum losing out on Player of the Month to Kobe White, the Celtics 3-point record in a season, and Peyton Pritchard's sixth man of the year. I think I'd give Pritchard the one seed there. I would say Pritchard's is the most impressive to me.
Are we sure that Peyton Pritchard's going to be sixth man of the year? Because Bill Simmons is voting for that Beasley kid.
Yes, I did hear this. This is something that upset
Are we sure? Because
people.
Bill Simmons is the Celtics fan who is green teamer for life, and he's not voting for Peyton Pritchard. So should I be annoyed at that?
Yes, I would say yes. Actually, Mr. Celtic City, Bill Simmons. Well,
He's
you
the
know,
biggest fraud going today just because he writes never-ending stories. Good for him.
his documentary on the Celtics right now, but he is going to take Malik Beasley over Peyton Pritchard, and this is. I don't want to say it's out of nowhere because Beasley has played really well, and the Pistons have been on a little bit of a run, but it's just I don't know the NBA media and their timing. I think is always very funny. It's like Peyton Pritchard's minus 1,400, I think, to win the award. I get it. You want to have a conversation about it, but he's not more deserving than Peyton Pritchard. This is Peyton Pritchard's award. He's going to win it. He deserves to win it. And the only thing I would say is, if you're a Celtics fan, how has Peyton Pritchard looked in the last 2-3 weeks? I know he had a couple good games 2.5 weeks ago, but he's kind of slumped. They sat him one night. He wasn't great after he came back from that. He's a guy I worry about a little bit in the playoffs. They were able to kind of use him as a wrinkle last year. The end of the shot clock specialist, but teams are going to be ready for Peyton Pritchard this year. Like, the Cavs are not going to get beat by Peyton Pritchard. You might get lucky in a game against Orlando or whoever you get in the second round, even if that's Milwaukee or somebody, but I don't think you're going to be able to spring Peyton Pritchard on these teams in the playoffs like you were able to last year.
I wonder if he's banged up and we just don't know it. And this whole team banged up, and I know that's a boring topic, like health, and it's going to talk about the Jaylen Brown thing, but there's a whole bunch of injuries on this team. Some we know, some we don't know. Peyton Pritchard is still the sixth man of the year for me. It's his award start to finish. I just like dumping on Bill Simmons because I think he's one of the great frauds of all time, for a number of different reasons. The never-ending story being one of them. Like, oh, look at me, I created ESPN and The Ringer, and I write these stories that are just never-ending, and they're pop culture, and look at me, and we all want look at me, but like the never-ending story thing. Like, we get it, you can write, cool. And by the way, I don't think his documentaries are all that great.
No, there you go. There's a hot take right there. I like it.
They're okay, but like, I could put together something like that. You give me Larry Bird,
it's true.
I'll ask him questions he doesn't want to answer. I'll do that.
I love it.
That's the lawsuit thing, by the way, that they weren't supposed to ask him, but they asked him anyway because, I'm Bill Simmons, I'm the tough guy, I'm the Celtics guy. I hate Bill Simmons. Hate's a strong word, but I hate Bill Simmons. He's annoying. But I will give him credit for this. He hired Zach Lowe, which I could have done in my sleep.
That's
but
true.
I guess he has the payroll to do it. I'd love to know who's bankrolling him because that's a wasted investment. Anywho, Jaylen Brown, he's going to get to 65 games, we assume. Is he an all NBA team player this year? That would be my big question.
I think I would lean no, Jay Stu.
So I would lean no also.
Yeah, and obviously, I love Jaylen. I think he's a tremendous player. All that, goes without saying. Yeah, Finals MVP. But this season, he just hasn't done it consistently. He's had kind of an up and down year. And I know he's been more efficient lately, which is kind of surprising because he's hobbled, but he has been more efficient over the last, week or two. But when I think of Jaylen Brown this year, I don't want to say disappointing, but I would say a little underwhelming. I just think he's been banged up at times. His shot hasn't been there. I know he's talked about, numerous times about adapting to what they want him to do better at this year, facilitating, getting rebounds when bigs are out. So, no, if I had to say, I would say Jaylen Brown, not an all NBA player this season.
So let's go down the list. SGA, yes. Jokic, yes. Giannis, yes. Tatum, yes.
Yep.
Jalen Brunson?
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine he probably gets second or third team.
Darius Garland?
Oh, man. I'd have to really look. I know his splits were crazy in the beginning of the year. I mean, he's on a 60-win team. I want to lean no, but I'd have to really look at the guards.
Eric Mobley?
A big, I mean, probably.
Because remember, they're positionless this year.
Yeah, Mobley. He probably deserves. Yeah, because he could be your defensive player of the year. I would say Mobley should be on one of the three teams. Yeah.
Jaren Jackson Jr.
I would say no.
Steph Curry.
Yes.
Donovan Mitchell.
Yes.
Karl Anthony Towns.
I would say no.
Number 5 in the MVP chase, according to Basketball Reference.
Is Karl Anthony Towns?
Is Karl Anthony Towns.
Woof. That's stiff. I'm sorry, but the Knicks don't scare me almost solely because of Karl Anthony Towns.
I co-sign with that. Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll get it. I'm sure he'll get
Cade
one.
Cunningham.
I would love to see Cade get it. I would imagine he won't, but I would love to see that.
LeBron James.
Yeah, he's LeBron. He'll probably. How many games has he played? I'd imagine he's right around.
He's over 65.
That. Is he already? Yeah.
Sabonis.
No.
Okay, so I think Sabonis does get it. Jared Allen.
I would say no.
Jaren Williams.
Oh man, I like him a lot, but I'm going to say no.
So I think that's 14. I think that's 14 where you're a yes on.
Okay.
So the door is open for Jaylen Brown being 15. Remember, he was 16 last year.
Yeah. Yep. I think he's been worse this year, though. I don't think he's been as good of a player as he was last year.
And that's disappointing because he's tried to play with the ass because of all the things, being left off the Olympic team, so on. So that's like Jaylen Brown's got a chance because there's no Wemby because he hasn't played enough games. There's no Luka. There's no Embiid. We'll see if Brunson gets to 65 games. So the door is open for Jaylen Brown to be all NBA, whether he deserves it or not.
Yeah, I wonder if there's any major contract stipulations there either.
So last year, because he didn't get it, he didn't get a $2.2 million bonus.
Okay. So, something similar this year, I bet, and I'm sure he's very cognizant of that. So, yeah, the Jaylen Brown thing, I'm still confident that he'll be ready to go come playoffs. But his knee, I mean, where are you on his knee injury and how he's looked over the last, week?
I think he's managing it so that he doesn't. I think he's managing it. I think he is, and I don't know. I just want to make that clear. I'm just speculating. He's managing. It's the are you injured or are you hurt? And I think he's managing being injured. I think if this was like December, he'd sit out a month. But because it's a time of the year where you got to ramp up for the playoffs, like he's playing because he doesn't want to sit. He wants to keep going. And I think he'll really kick it up a notch with whatever work he's doing in the trainer's room to make sure that he's at his absolute best for the playoffs. And hopefully, there isn't any long-term effect on it.
Yeah.
But I think if this was December, he'd be sitting out.
I'm kind of with you on the managing thing too. And, a couple years ago, I think I would have felt worse about this with the Celtics staff. We don't have to go back to Isaiah Thomas and Avery Bradley and, other guys that came back too soon. But I think the Celtics in recent years have done a much, much better job of handling injuries. Look at Porzingis, look at how Horford has been managed, even Derek White when he's gone through, some small things. Holiday with the mallet finger seems to be, playing some of his better basketball in recent weeks. So a couple of years ago, the Celtics training staff, I know they took a lot of shots for their handling of the roster and managing guys, but I am more confident in them and Jaylen Brown knowing his threshold and not pushing it, knowing, what's on the horizon. He's not a guy that's going to do anything that would jeopardize his playing time in the playoffs, because that's what these guys live for. They want to be on the biggest stage. Jaylen Brown is going to do everything possible to be out there in the playoffs. He's not going to miss time unless he absolutely has to. So yeah, I am a little worried about the knee, because you can see it. Like, usually with these injuries, if a guy has a bad shooting night, we'll say, oh, they must be banged up or something. But you can physically see like Jaylen Brown laboring out there at times. So I think that is kind of a scary thing for Celtics fans, but it seems to be at least under control, and they don't seem overly worried about it.
Well, they're gonna downplay it unless they have to hype it up. Like, I
True.
don't mean that. Like, that's just kind of how it works. And for those people,
No, Jay Stu again. He is that poor internet connection. I feel bad for the guy. But on the Jaylen Brown thing, I say I'm a little worried about it just because they're going to need him. I don't think this is an Eastern Conference where you can't have Jaylen Brown at full health. There he is. There he is.
all
Getting
right,
kicked out, Chase too.
yeah, it's because I said for those people on sports radio, and then it kicked me out, which is fair. But I think the reason why he's talking about his knees, because he's getting asked about it, because it is a story. And I know health is a boring topic, but it's a realistic topic. Like, the Celtics, when they went to repeat, they didn't repeat because Garnett was hurt. Like, that's the main reason why they didn't repeat that year. They didn't win Game 7 against the Lakers, which they should have won because Perk blew out his knee. Like, that's a big part of the story, is that Rasheed Wallace ran out of gas. Like, he didn't have that. He's got that much miles on it in that Game 7, and he ran out. Like, and that was that was a brutal game to watch. The Celtics Lakers, when the Celtics, it was year 3 of the Garnett Allen Pierce thing.
Yeah,
And they should have been
2010.
too. Yeah.
2010, yeah. Oh,
But that was brutal. But health is an issue. Like, if the Celtics get knocked out, it's because there was an injury that happened. And I am concerned about Tatum's ankle, because he's had a history of ankle injuries. He's got a lot of miles on him. And Tatum is having an MVP caliber year. In fact, Basketball Reference has him number 4 in the MVP voting. The ESPN straw poll from Tim Bontemps,
who hates Tatum.
Hates him.
Hates him.
SGA would win the MVP. Jokic would finish second. Tatum would finish third.
Okay.
And that sounds right. I think that sounds right.
So does the other one have Giannis at 3? I'm guessing.
Giannis is 3, yeah.
So yeah, and I was a big Tatum is third guy. Giannis has done some stuff in recent weeks, and does Milwaukee scare you at all, Jay Stu?
No, not at all.
No.
Especially with Doc Rivers as the coach.
So
Doc Rivers had a stomach bug.
Yeah, I should have seen that.
Darvin Ham had to run the team that night. He had a stomach. Oh, my tummy hurts. Oh, with all the medical advances, you can't give Doc Rivers something to settle his stomach for 3 hours.
Pepto or something.
Yeah, like, that seems basic. Doc Rivers sits out with a stomach bug. Go. Oh,
that's on me for asking about the Milwaukee Bucks.
Not gonna do it.
And expecting anything else other than a Doc Rivers roast.
Not gonna do it.
But yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, Giannis has been lighting it up lately, but I don't think the Bucks should give you any real trouble. I think you're almost hoping that it plays out, that the Cavs and the Knicks get each other in the second round, and then you get the winner of that series in the Eastern Conference Finals. The MVP thing, it is what it is at this point. SGA is going to win. I think Jokic should win, but it's all politics. Best player on the best team. That's what they're telling you this year. That's why SGA is going to win. So why did the best player on the best team not win the MVP last year? It is what it is.
Because Tatum's kind of, is he a boring superstar?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think people say that negatively. I think that's almost the highest compliment you can give, someone. I think being a boring superstar is, Tatum is, everything he does on the court is why he's a superstar, and he's got the commercials and all that stuff, but he's as good of a player as there is. He's MVP level player.
All right, let's go to the chat for a second. Kai H, I don't know what that is, but he says Tatum is soft. So we're going to ignore Jokic's soft frame. Like, Jokic is soft. He's a soft frame, soft defensively, but he's smart defensively. And yeah, I'm attacking other players, but Tatum shows up and plays every night, even when he shouldn't. Like that ankle injury when he went down, we're like, oh, shut him down for the year. But Tatum's like, nope, we play, and that's a credit to Tatum, and it's almost like it's held against him. Like, oh,
Yeah.
we live in this league of like LeBron needs load management, and Tatum's out there on falling apart ankles, and Brown's out there on falling apart knees, and it's a credit to the Celtics for this. There's the green teamer thing.
Yeah,
That
I
they
mean, I
play
think
through injuries, but it's like it's almost look at it as a negative. Like, yes, we care about the playoffs. Yes, we want to be at full health. We want to be at full health for the Cavs or the Pacers or whoever's there at the Eastern Conference Finals, but the ticket prices for the NBA games are insane. And maybe it's that like the Celtics remaining schedule. They're Washington tonight, Marcus Smart return, at the Knicks, at Orlando, Charlotte. They're gonna play those games. Maybe Jaylen Brown sits out the back-to-back, but Tatum he's not Duncan, because Duncan was more of like the market than anything else. But like Tatum makes the right basketball play usually. He handles the ball a lot. He plays like there's got to be a comp for it. Like where Tatum's going to be all NBA like 10, 12 years in his career, but he's never going to win the MVP.
Yeah, I mean, I just think if you think he's soft, respectfully, you're an absolute moron, and I'm
There
not
it
sure
is.
that you know what you're watching. He's out there every single night in a league where guys are lauded for load management, where they're praised for managing their bodies better. Tatum is maybe the best road playoff performer in the NBA right now. I don't even know if you could argue that. And I know you've been told that he's not clutch either, but if you just use Google in any way. It's not even that hard. You could just type in Tatum clutch. I won't even make you do the rest. You'll get statistics that'll tell you that he's
Jayson
actually pretty good in the clutch.
Tatum
And I
clutch.
would just have you read anything about Jayson Tatum, the human. Absolutely not soft. Yeah, someone brings up his 50 against the defending champs in Milwaukee. I would say that's pretty good. Yeah, and he has the Game 7 playoff record for points in a game. I would once again say that's not soft. I would say leading the Boston Celtics in points, rebounds, and assists en route to a title, also not soft. So I don't know who in the NBA you think is tough. Maybe it's Isaiah Stewart and Beef Stew, because the only highlights you've ever seen of him are not playing basketball. They're trying to fight LeBron James or someone else. So yeah, the Tatum is soft thing. I thought we were done with that about 4 years ago, 3 years ago, when he hung 46 in Milwaukee in Game 6 against the defending champs. But some people just like to complain.
I googled Jayson Tatum clutch AI overview, which AI is ruining the world, but nobody wants to stop it. So here we are. Jayson Tatum's clutch performance in the NBA, while he's known for taking big shots, has recently seen scrutiny
True.
with his effective field goal percentage, EFG percentage, in clutch situations. Final 5 minutes, score within 5 points, around 51%, slightly above the league average.
Interesting. Interesting. Above average.
That's AI.
You know what? I don't usually trust AI. I'm going to trust it on this one. It fits my agenda, Jace, too.
I'm not worried about Tatum's. I know in your notes you say Tatum's 3-point shooting slump. I'm not worried about it because of his ankle.
Yeah. Just a little bit on that.
Yeah.
Since March, he is 38 of 126, 30% from three since the beginning of March.
So I'm not worried about it right now. I also kind of like we've talked about this a couple weeks ago where I think Mazzulla is in the lab experimenting a little bit.
Absolutely, big time experimenting.
So their play designs might be a little different. Maybe they're trying to manipulate tape out there. I think once we get to March, once we get to like April 19th, April 20th, it's like we'll see the real Mazzulla stuff. You want to talk about Hornets' real impact minutes as well?
Yeah. Do you Look, I like Luke Cornett. I'm sure you like Luke Cornett. Yes, the Cornett defense.
Brilliant.
Is Luke Cornett a sustainable rotation piece in the playoffs?
No. He is. I need him to cover 3 minutes while Tatum needs a breather. And then I'm going to shift out. Porzingis is on the floor. Horford's on the floor. If I want to go double bigs, but I need Horford to rest a little bit. Like, Hornett should not see more than 10 minutes per game on the floor. And you hope that he's just enough of a distraction that they don't hunt him in the playoffs. I'd have to look at what he did last year in the playoffs, but if Luke Hornett is out there for more than 10 minutes in a playoff, you've got a problem. So he should be serviceable. It's not like, I don't think Luke Hornett played 10 minutes per game last year in the playoffs.
So I think it's going to be a little more this year. I do. He's become a real piece of what they do. I mean, it's odd, but I don't want to say they rely on him, but there are games where he's given them legit good minutes off the bench and even starting. And so I just wonder what does Luke Cornett look like in a playoff series? And I would be really worried about him in a playoff series against Cleveland. I think that is a bad matchup for Luke Cornett.
So then you have to go through, like, you have to hope Porzingis is healthy, one, right? And then you have to hope that, I mean, do we want to think that let's see who can play down there. I mean, are you then going to match up Holiday against a big? Are you going to hope that G League MVP Jordan Walsh comes up important?
JD Davis, G League MVP.
Oh, I'm sorry, my mistake. Well, he's definitely not paying. He's definitely not playing a big.
No.
Your guy Torrey Craig at 6'7" has to step up and.
Do you think Torrey Craig is just being held under wraps, or do you think that he might actually just not be all that good, and we're never going to see much of Torrey Craig?
I think that he is a break glass option.
Yeah,
because we were all hyped about Torrey Craig, right?
Great 3-point shooter.
But now we're seeing why he's been with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams in 8 years.
Not great. Not great. I was.
So then it's like, does he?
Move.
So then the question becomes, Skaz, does he not know the playbook? Does he not know where to be defensively? Does he not, like, what? Why is he not getting minutes?
I know the playbook is pass the ball to Jayson Tatum and then stand at the 3-point line. I mean, they should be able to figure out the playbook. Run to a corner or run to an elbow from the 3-point line and stand there. So, yeah, the Torrey Craig thing is a little weird. He's a guy who, you'd hoped you'd get some minutes out of to kind of, Jaylen Brown has a knee, Jayson Tatum has an ankle. Like, okay, here's, 20 minutes of Torrey Craig one night. But we really haven't seen that at all. And, yeah, he has not been impressive in his minutes. But, yeah, maybe he's a playoff performer. We can hold out hope, I guess.
I want to add this comment in from Joe. He says, people can say what they want about the Jays, but they cannot question their drive, leadership, and showing up to play every night. We don't have to deal with the problems. We don't have to deal with the problems of other teams' superstars, Embiid, Ja, Kawhi, etc. It's why they're boring superstars, but it's such a detail. And above that, and I've said this multiple times, they love basketball. And they work through, and they legitimately love basketball. And I think 75% of the NBA does not love basketball. And they're just there because they can play it well and they're coddled and they can make money. It's a job to them. I think for Tatum and Brown, it's a passion. And there's a difference.
Yeah, I'm with you. And shout out Joe Celia, former Joe Murray Show intern. Checking in on the Green Teamers. But yeah, I'm with you. That is, Tatum and Brown, they take a lot of criticism for their actual play, but they're out there. They're out there every night. And, they get the criticism because they're champs, because they're in Boston. It's all part of it. I think Jayson Tatum is, what you dream about in a superstar for your favorite team. He is no drama. He is all basketball. I mean, Joe Murray says this all the time. All the guy wants to do is play basketball and be a father. That's literally
great.
That's all he cares about is playing basketball and hanging out with Deuce. And, if you think that's boring or, he's not doing enough or he's not, vocal enough on the court, I don't care. He is one of the top 5 basketball players in the world. And that's all he wants to do is play basketball. You're going to see him, on, an occasional awkward Ruffles commercial or, Duncan or something like that. But that's all you're not going to see Jayson Tatum, on the back of the New York Post or something like that, stirring up
Hopefully
headlines.
not.
Yes,
Hopefully
exactly.
not. Hopefully
Yeah.
not. There might be some stuff underneath the fingernails that we haven't seen yet, but he's covered it well. You wanted to talk about Joe Mazzulla as well?
Yeah, I think Mazzulla's had an outstanding couple weeks. I know I don't know, maybe a month ago we had some Mazzulla criticisms for some, late game rotations, lineups, not using timeouts, but a guy goes 6-0 on the road, 6 games by double digits. I thought he pushed all the right buttons. We mentioned the Cornet lineups, getting them some real minutes. I thought Drew looked really good on this road trip. Derek White seemed to find his shot again. I just thought Mazzulla really, the way he managed the roster over the road trip, and kind of they didn't really need to do anything late game, but I thought his lineups and everything he did, and even just the way he handled himself on the road trip and coming back after the loss, saying, we're still pissed off. We didn't want to, lose that one game, but they're 18-2 after a loss, so nothing to see here. But I just think Eastern Conference Coach of the Month, Joe Mazzulla, in the month of March. So, a good month for Joe Mazzulla.
So I think, to pat myself on the back, because that's what I like to do, I think I said at the beginning of February that a year ago they went on a run from like February 1st to like April 1st. And I think they went on that run, Skaz. I think they went on that run. They were something like 21-3 over the course of those 2 months or something ridiculous, right?
They're 25-5 in their last 30.
There it is. So Jay Stu right again.
And Jay Stu, I'm glad you brought this up because I should have been the one patting you on the back because you said it numerous times. No, you did. You said numerous times, late January, early February. You were like, "Don't worry." I remember doing the 40-20 conversation. If you're an NBA champion level team, if you're an NBA, championship winning caliber team, you have to win 40 games before you lose 20. In the Celtics at one point, believe it or not, were 38-16 or 37-15 or something like that. There was a legitimate question from people like us and people's like, I remember Stool Greeny coming on the show and having this discussion being like, can they get to 40-20? Can they get there?
36-16 after their loss to the Mavericks on February 6th.
February 6th. Yeah, it's right around the time we were having this conversation. We're like 36-16. They got to get to 40 before they lose 20. That is the barometer for a good NBA team. And Jay Stu said, "Scavs, don't you worry. Don't you worry at all. Don't even sweat it. They will be fine." And boy was he right because they won 50 games before they lost 20, I think. And now they're 56 and whatever the hell.
57-20. 57-20.
Yeah, they're going to be 60-20. So yes, Jay Stu was right again. Mark it down. Another one for the record. But yes, Jay Stu nailed his Celtics prediction.
All right. I would say, Skaz, we anticipate that Jaylen and Tatum are going to play 5 of the last 6. I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 of the last 5 games.
I would agree with that.
And Jaylen Brown gets a 65. Tatum they use, and it might be that they just kind of start, play a little bit, hope it's a blowout.
Yep.
I think if they lose to the Knicks or Orlando, it's a quote-unquote scheduled loss. And I say that because we're talking about Mazzulla being in the lab. I don't think that Mazzulla is going to throw anything at the Knicks or the Magic that they can go back to for playoff tape. So I don't know if that means that they're just going to roll out the basketballs and see what happens, or whether it means we're going to get a lot of Blake Shireman, JD Davidson, stuff like that. But as much as I would love to see competitive games against the Knicks and Orlando in those buildings, if it's competitive, it's not because there's anything that Orlando or New York will be able to use against them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm with you. And this is something I heard Sean and Max discussing a little bit the other night. Do you think there's a chance maybe they sit, midweek and then they play the final 2 games of the season? Because we mentioned the play-in tournament. They're going to have 9-10 days off from that last regular season game until the start of the playoffs. Do you think there's a chance maybe they do play the 2 Charlotte games, or at least maybe that last one? Or does that worry you at all, the 10-day
Light
break?
minutes.
Yeah.
Light minutes.
Okay.
They'll play both they'll play both of those games. What I would call light minutes is they play the first quarter. Where are we at in the second quarter? Okay, where are we at the third quarter? We're coming out with 6 minutes to go in the third quarter, and that's their night.
Yeah, I would co-sign that as well. A little, just keep them fresh, but let's not do anything crazy.
Exactly. Skaz, any closing thoughts?
My closing thoughts are, J. Stu, we will not see you next weekend, right?
Next weekend, we should be doing the Green Teamers.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's 2
it's
weekends.
the Vegas weekend.
Got you, 2 weekends.
It'll be after game 1 of the playoffs, whether that's Saturday the 19th or Sunday the 20th. I'll be in Vegas. My alcohol level of whiskey will be very high that weekend.
There we go.
So next week we'll have an idea of who we think that they'll be playing, and maybe it'll be a recap of, like, is it Orlando? Is it Miami? Is it Chicago? Is it Orlando? Like, that'll probably be next week's podcast. It'll probably be Sunday night. Yeah, it'll probably be Sunday night. Because I think they have a 1:00 game against Charlotte, and hopefully all we're talking about is a potential sweep against the Bulls or the Heat or something like that.
That would be ideal.
And then after that, it would be the 27th, which would be probably after game 2, because it takes a week for the first round to get through games. But we'll all figure that out. So I think the Celtics playoff schedule will start the 19th, that Saturday. Because I think that's what happened with the 2 versus 7 last year, because the Celtics opened up whatever the Sunday, April 21st. So I think that's what the case will be. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. That's all I got. Just wasted 40 minutes of your life, pal.
Hey, I love it. I'll do it again. I'll do it again next week.
All right, very good, Skaz. Everybody have a good week of green teaming, and let's hope for health. That should be a hashtag or something. Hope for health. Everybody have a good week of watching the Celtics and the NBA basketball, the National Basketball Association. End stream.